All right, buddy, the hospital is 2 blocks away.
Now, easy, Jerry. This boy doesn't need the hospital.
You're right, Dean. Hey, buddy, it's 4 blocks to Forest Lawn.
Hey, Dean, I don't know who this guy is, but I like him. This kid makes me look good, you know.
Frankie, he's my partner, Jerry Lewis. Go over and introduce yourself to him.
Well, all right. Be sure he won't bite. Jerry, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm,
Let Dean do it, kid. You better lie down.
Now, listen, ape-head, I'm Frank Sinatra.
You mean you're Frank Sinatra, the singer on radio and television and picture star?
That's right.
Hey, is it true that you stand in for carrots when they photograph salads?
Well,
when mosquitoes bite you, do they get anything more than practice?
Well, gosh, I don't...
Hey, no, tell the truth. Can you touch your hands over your head without being threaded?
Hey, now, just a minute. How long do you think I have to stand here for these insults?
Just as long as we get laughs, Frank.
Now, Jerry, this is no way to act towards Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, well, what makes you think he's Frank Sinatra anyway? If he was Sinatra, he certainly wouldn't be here with us.
No? Where would I be?
Home with Ava.
Financial difficulty following the divorce and his career decline. Sinatra was forced to borrow $200,000 from Columbia to pay his back taxes after MCA refused to front the money. On January 18, 1952, Frank Sinatra made a guest appearance on NBC's Martin and Lewis show. He was close friends with the comedic duo. In fact, after Martin and Lewis acrimoniously split, they had no contact for almost 2 decades. It was Frank Sinatra who reunited them on live TV.
Did you ever have a feud going with anybody for that length of time?
I don't think so.
Yeah?
No, my fuse lasts about 2 minutes.
You're quick to anger, but also you're quick to get it out, aren't you?
That's true, yeah. I guess we're just born that way. Some guys are, some guys aren't. You know what I mean?
Well, the press occasionally, seem to always print the things that make good copy, or they think make good copy. They very seldom print, and I don't say this because you're here, because I don't have to puff you up at all, but they never mention the things that entertainers do for charity and raising money for boys' clubs and hospitals and et cetera, but they always do if you're in some kind of if you happen to brush somebody leaving a bar or something like that.
Well, I've never done anything like that.
No, just... Or, I think...
If I'm going to brush anybody, he's going to get knocked down.
I think... And I think the time you drove over the welcome wagon lady, I think that should have...
In March, Sinatra appeared with Danny Kaye, Groucho Marx, and George Burns on Jack Benny's CBS radio show from Palm Springs.
Well, George, Frankie, and Groucho. Hello, fellas.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, that's brilliant dialogue.
Well, welcome to the show, fellas, and if you say the magic word, you get a bottle of suntan oil.
Say, Jack, that reminds me. Jack?
What?
That reminds me.
Yeah?
That bottle of suntan oil you sold me was much too greasy, and boy, was I embarrassed.
Why? What happened?
Well, yesterday when I put some on, I slipped right out of my suit.
The next month, Universal Pictures' semi-autobiographical Meet Danny Wilson, starring Sinatra and Shelley Winters, debuted to middling reviews. Sinatra even played the Paramount in New York to help promote the film, but couldn't fill the theater. The headline from the New York World Telegram and Sun was, "Gone on Frankie in 42, gone in 52. CBS finally pulled the plug on Frank's TV show in April. Word on the street was that CBS had lost $1 million on the series.
I wasn't paying enough attention to my job at the time. I think I was tired. It's not an excuse, it's a fact. I think I was weary because I had worked tremendously for the years preceding that period. Worked constantly, 300 days a year or more in many instances. And I was traveling constantly and just doing all kinds of work. And I had a personal problem, which I will not go into. When I was ready and I had had enough rest, or I took time to have all of the cobwebs blown out of my head, I went back to work. I changed record companies, changed attorneys, changed accountants, changed picture companies, and changed my clothes, and just went right back to work again.
He was dropped by MCA. Frank now had to take his own bookings. The only engagements he could scrape together were a couple of concerts in Hawaii. Maybe it would be the change of scenery he needed. Ava Gardner was supposed to go to Mexico to begin filming Sombrero. Frank suggested she come to Hawaii instead. MGM suspended her without pay and benefits for repeated infractions. Frank played to a few hundred tourists in a tent. He wore flowers around his neck. It was the rock bottom he needed. It's the aftermath of the fall that changed Sinatra. He'd been publicly flattened from every angle. On the plane ride home, Ava and Frank quarreled. But when they stopped, he picked up a copy of a book he'd been reading by James Jones, From Here to Eternity.